Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen will be traveling to Beijing, where she's expected to meet with senior Chinese officials. The secretary's visit comes just weeks after Secretary of State Antony Blinken became the highest-ranking member of the Biden administration to travel to Beijing in an effort to stabilize relations between the two countries. Joining us now, Democratic Congressman of Massachusetts, Jake Auchincloss. He's a member of the Select Committee on Strategic Competition between the U.S. and China. He's also a Marine veteran. So thank you, sir, for your service. Let me ask you about this trip, because Secretary Yellen's trip comes as we've seen tensions between the U.S. and China remain high, even after Secretary Blinken's visit. Of course, following the series of incidents this year, including the balloon incident. As a member of the Select Committee on China, what are you looking for in Yellen's visit? What might she accomplish?
Good morning, Anna. Thanks for having me on. Tensions are going to remain high for decades to come because we are pitted in an ideological and strategic contest with the Chinese Communist Party. The key is to pick your negotiating spots from a position of strength. And that's what the president is doing by sending Secretary Yellen now to land in Beijing. She's coming from a position of economic strength. Our economy has rebounded enormously successfully since the depths of COVID. 13 million jobs created, 10 straight months of falling inflation, record low unemployment. Whereas the Chinese economy is struggling with high youth unemployment, has a property market that has cratered under debt, and is really struggling with long-term demographic challenges with an aging population. So Secretary Yellen's going to be able to sit across the table from her Chinese counterparts and from a position of strength and authority say, we welcome a robust trade relationship that can benefit both parties, but we expect you to play by the rules of the World Trade Organization, the rules of other multilateral institutions, and that you do not steal intellectual property, that you do not harass American businesses, and that you are a good actor in the world stage. And to the extent that they're not, and they certainly have proven that they are not over the last several years, we will take action in concert with our allies to uphold the rules-based order.
So what does that action look like then? If they don't play nice, what can be done? What kind of recourse is there?
You know, the most important thing we need to do for long-term competition with China is actually more about us than it is about China. It's investing in our R&D capabilities, in upholding rule of law, in sound infrastructure, in deep and liquid capital markets, and high-quality education. And what we've seen right now is that GOP cuts to R&D in the 2024 appropriation cycle would hamstring us in long-term scientific and economic competition against a scientific behemoth in China. And so the first thing we have to do is not impair our own ability to run faster than the Chinese economy in the decades to come.
So let's turn to the latest on the war in Ukraine, because former Vice President Mike Pence, who's running for the White House in 2024, had some critical words for the Biden administration after his recent visit to Ukraine. Take a listen.
I think President Biden has failed miserably to explain our national interest here. He's given these gauzy speeches about democracy, the reason we're there. Look, we're there because it's in our national interest to give the Ukrainian military the ability to rebut and defeat Russian aggression.
Congressman, he says President Biden has failed to explain America's interest in this conflict. What's your response?
I mean, I can't help but laugh. Yeah. Ed Sheeran's performing in my district in the last few days. I might as well go tell Ed Sheeran how to put on a show. That's about as much credibility as Mike Pence has in telling Joe Biden how to operate against Russia. Mike Pence was vice president when Donald Trump was impeached for blackmailing Ukraine. Mike Pence was vice president when Donald Trump went to Helsinki and prostrated himself before Putin in a performance that two previous GOP presidential nominees called disgraceful. Mike Pence has zero credibility on the question of Ukraine. And if I were him, I would be spending my time on the phone calling House GOP members and asking them to not cut $500 million from Ukrainian support, as they just voted to do 2 weeks ago.
What are you hearing from those GOP members? Because Ukrainian President Zelensky says he's concerned about losing bipartisan support from the U.S. after what he called dangerous messages coming from some Republicans.
There's broadly three camps in the House GOP conference right now. One camp, call them the Reagan conservatives, are aligned with the strategic and moral imperative to support Ukraine. Fortunately, some of the most senior members of the House are in that camp: Mike Turner, Mike McCall, et cetera. Then there's the Trump camp, who have always been sympathizing with Putin and who are dead fast ideologically against supporting Ukraine. They just don't want to stand with freedom and democracy against Putin. But then there's the middle camp. And the middle camp, Anna, is where I think the political work needs to be done. These are members who individually, I think, want to support Ukraine, understand the value of supporting Ukraine, but whose base back home, because of Donald Trump's absurd exhortations in favor of Putin, is increasingly restless. And so the White House, House Democrats, Senate Democrats, Senate Republicans, I think are all going to have to work on that middle camp there to sustain bipartisan support for Ukraine. And I've been doing that in my own way with a series of bipartisan actions as well.
But quickly, if you will, what is your message to Americans who may be worried about the U.S. spending billions and billions of dollars indefinitely in this conflict that has no end in sight right now?
For less money than America spends on soft drinks every year, we have cratered Russia's conventional military capacity, doubled its border with NATO, induced our allies in Germany, Japan, France, Taiwan to increase their own spending on defense. We have strengthened and deepened NATO's resolve at a time when the rules-based order is under attack, not just by Russia, but by China and Iran as well. This is about the United States upholding the international rules-based order that has spread peace and prosperity the world over. And it is the highest return on investment for national security dollars that have been spent in the 21st century.
Massachusetts Congressman Jake Auchincloss, thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
Nice to be with you.
Up next on Anna Cabrera.